Now this is a very simple SQL Server interview question. What is the difference between unique and primary key? Now many developers end up saying that both of these things are one and the same, and only the vocabulary is different, etc., etc. In actual sense, both of these things are different entities and they have their own importance depending on condition. So first let's try to understand what are the important differences between the unique and the primary key. There are three important points which the interviewer is expecting from you. First, unique key can have nulls, but primary keys cannot have nulls. You can create multiple unique keys on a table, but you can have only one primary key on a table. And the third important point is, when you create a unique key, it creates a non-cluster index by default, and when you create a primary key, it creates a cluster index by default. Let's try to demonstrate these 3 points one by one and step by step, and let's see that if our answer is right or wrong. So let's start with the first point. Unique key can have nulls, but primary keys cannot have nulls. So here's a simple table I have called as tbl_company. Let me first go and try to create a simple primary key on this column, and let me try to see that if it allows nulls. So let me just click on this checkbox called as allow nulls, and you can see that basically I'm getting an error here saying that we cannot set a null property on a column which is having a primary key. So nulls property cannot be set on a column which is part of the primary key. Now let's try to create a unique column, and let's see that if we can click on the allow nulls checkbox. So in order to create a unique column, you have to go to the indexes and keys, you have to add a key, and you have to select that the type of the key is unique key. Okay, and let's give a name to this, unique 1. Okay, and close this, and let me save this. Right, so you can see that basically currently I have a column which is the company code column is unique, and the unique key constraint is applied on the company code column. Now let me try to go and click on the allow nulls checkbox, and let me try to save this. So you can see that basically I am able to click on the allow nulls checkbox on a column which is a unique key. Now let's talk about the second point. We can create multiple unique keys on a table, but we can have only one primary key on a table. So let's try to demonstrate if this is right or wrong. So I have again taken the same table. So let me go and set this as primary key. So I have set the ID column as primary key. Now let me go to the company code column and let me set that as a primary key. Now if I try to set this as a primary key, you can see that the first primary key goes off from here. So in other words, you can set only one primary key in a table. Now let's try to go and create a unique key. So in order to create a unique key, again let's go and click on indexes and keys, and let's say add, and let's give a name to this saying unique 1. Okay, and let's say that this is a unique key. So unique key, so we are creating the first unique key on company code column. Now let's go and create one more unique key called as unique key 2, and this time we will select company ID. Okay, so we have unique 1 and unique 2. Let me close this, and let me try to save this, and let's see if it works. It works. So you can see that in this table I have two unique keys. One is on the company code column, and the other one is on the ID column. So coming back to point number 2, we can create multiple unique keys on a table, but we can have only one primary key on a table. Now let's move ahead to the third point. Unique key creates a non-cluster index by default, and primary key creates a cluster index by default. Let's try to see a demonstration of the third point. So as per the third point, whenever we create a primary key, so when we set this as a primary key, by default what happens is it creates a cluster index internally. So you can see that basically this primary key has created a default clustered index on the ID column. And when we try to create a simple unique key, so for example if I try to go and create this as a unique key, right, you can see that it has selected by default the non-cluster index. In other words, it's not a cluster index. So in other words, just to confirm, what I'll do is let me go and remove the primary key, so I don't have any cluster index. Let me again go back to my indexes and keys. Let me delete this, add a new unique key. Let's give a name to this, and let me try to say unique. So you can see that it has selected by default the index as a non-cluster index. So that's the third point. Unique key creates a non-cluster index by default, while the primary key creates a cluster index by default. So in order to answer this question completely, right, you have to talk about 3 points. First one is, unique key can have nulls, but primary keys, cannot have nulls. Second is, unique keys, it can be created on multiple columns. In other words, one table can have multiple unique keys, while you can have only one primary key on a table. And the final one is, unique key creates a non-cluster index by default, while the primary key creates a cluster index by default. In interviews, you can always have twists and turns. So one of the twists and turns for this question is basically, can we reference, or can a foreign key reference a unique key? Yes. Both unique keys and primary keys can be referenced by foreign key tables. This question was related to the SQL Server topic, and in the same way, you can have other basic questions which can pop up, like for example, some basic questions on normalization, denormalization, on database design, on SQL syntaxes, that is inner joins, left joins, right joins, group by, union all, those kind of typical SQL syntaxes, and must be some questions on performance tuning, etc. So what we would suggest is, do log in into your Questman video account and have a look at the performance tuning as well as the SQL basic videos, so that basically any kind of twist and turn questions you get, right, you can answer them properly.